Are we on? We're live already? Oh, Bradley. Good morning, guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are all of you doing today? Life is good. Let's get this sucker set up the way it's supposed to be. Here we are. Good morning, Dave P. How are you, brother? Hope you are doing fantastic. Hey there, folks. It is Wednesday morning. What is it already? October 22nd. Wednesday, October 22nd. Great to be here with you today. Looking forward to giving you a couple of exciting updates. I've got some things pulled up on my screen that I'm looking forward to sharing with you. And let's get right into it. Let's, we don't want to do that. We want to add that to stage. Guys, what is this that we are looking at? This is a couple of the trades that we made yesterday. So I don't know if you guys can see that on your screen, but we made a trade on Solana. We made a trade on Polygon. And both of them are very, very much in the red. And that's okay. We would kind of, well, they're not like a way in the red. Well, I mean, one here is down 31% and the other one down 26%. So that's a decent little chunk. But we talked about this yesterday. We were talking about CoinGecko. And, that isn't exactly what I wanted to see. But that's kind of cool. Nice to see a little jump in Texiccoin. I was actually going to talk about that today. Hopefully it's not too late. I think, Dave, I mentioned to you yesterday that something was going to be happening. I'm pretty close to the pulse of Texiccoin, so I have pretty good ideas when things are about ready to do some jumping. We'll talk about that later. But if we talk about just the market here in general, we're talking about Bitcoin. Over the last 24 hours has lost another 4%. I believe when we were talking about Bitcoin yesterday on this live stream, we were sitting at $113,000, and we were wondering whether Bitcoin was going to keep going up or go back down, what was going to happen. And so, part of what I did to protect myself yesterday with my trades is I only did 5x leverage. So one of the things that I want to point out is even with a little bit of a dip in the market and things not going greatly, I got in on my Solana buy at $196.78. It's down at $184, which puts me underwater 31%, 32% on my trade. But I still have almost $30 to go before this trade would be liquidated. It won't get liquidated unless it gets down to $158. My Polygon trade, I got in it at 20 cents, 20.34 cents, and it's down at 19.25. So it's down over a penny. But once again, I don't know if you could see it on your screen, but my liquidation here is at 16.42. So it's still a long ways from getting liquidated. And I put in an order on Polygon yesterday at 16.55. So this baby ain't going to get liquidated until it's all the way down under 14 cents. Waiting for some funds to come in today. I should have a nice chunk of USDC hitting my account, at which point in time I'm going to, Dave, I'm going to pay you and everybody else from the Thursday live stream today. And also going to put in a ladder trade on this Solana at the 158 here, getting me all the way down to, what's 158 minus 30? About 128 on this ladder trade. So that's a little bit of an update on yesterday. And I guess, looking here at the Bitcoin price, it's not crazy that we've seen all of the altcoins go down. The question now is, does Bitcoin hold this level, or does it go, start going higher? And once again, you know, we just don't know. There's so many different powers that be, so many different influences. All we know is that in the long term, Bitcoin goes up. That's, I mean, and that's pretty much an incontrovertible fact. If you look at Bitcoin, you know, since its inception, this goes all the way back to what? This only goes back to 2013. But 2013, 135 bucks. Had a, you know, a bull market back in the day. This was, you know, back in, well, so 2013, it doesn't show very much. But even here, these little bumps, it went from all the way back at 135, you know, to here in April of 2014, it was 447, and, you know, and so on and so forth. And just, you know, kind of, you know, yeah, it dipped back down to 200, but overall, it's pretty much been on a pretty good trajectory. I guess, man, there's a lot of years that a guy could have bought this stuff for anywhere between under $1,000. You could have bought, it looks like you could have been buying Bitcoin for under $1,000 all the way. This is January of 2020. January of 2017, and Bitcoin was still under 1,000. The first time I ever purchased Bitcoin was here, right in this ballpark here, around June, July, August of 2016. At around $500 a Bitcoin is the first time I believe that I purchased Bitcoin. Anyways, this is one of the reasons, guys, that I love to buy and hold on the spot market, is because you haven't lost anything if you haven't sold. So, you know, historically, even once again, like we go over here, this is when things really got exciting, when the masses started to get into crypto. If you look here, you know, January 8th, I believe it was. I can't get it to pull up right on, you know, here, but this is close. This is January 6th. January 8th, 2018, Bitcoin peaked at, you know, 18 going on $20,000. Had you bought it at $20,000 on January 8th, you would have been a little bit sick over the next couple of years, because here on February of 2018, it was already down to 10 grand. You would have lost, in a little over a month, you would have lost half your money, but you didn't lose anything if you didn't sell, but you held. And now here it is, July of 2025, and it's all the way down to 8,000, or July of 2018, all the way down to 8,000. And then here we go. It's January 23rd of 2019. It's all the way down to $3,500. Oh my God. I paid $20,000 a Bitcoin, and now it's $3,500. And everybody's making fun of you, and you're sick to your stomach. And this is where so many people get shaken out of the markets. That's why they do this. How many people do you think had FOMO and jumped in? Man, they saw this line here and they jumped in and they bought Bitcoin at 15, 20 grand. And then here it is a year later and it's worth 3 grand. Well, folks, had you just been dollar cost averaging, if you'd have bought some at 20, and then, you know, a couple weeks later when you got paid, you bought another $50 worth and another $50 worth and $100 worth and whatever, all of a sudden here come, you know, about back here. Now here we are, you know, July of 19, it's popped back up to 9,900. So had you been dollar cost averaging, you'd be in relatively okay shape. You'd have got some down here at these lows, some up here at these highs. But then look at this, guys. Look at this. Boom, right here, November of 2020, $13,000 Bitcoin, and then boom, by April 25th of 2021, we're at 41,000, and by May, we were at, May of 2021, we were at $64,000 Bitcoin, and then, you know, obviously all these ups and downs, but then it happened again. November 2021, November 11th, I believe, was the peak. This is pretty close. This is showing 60,000 on the 17th. It was actually about 68,000 what was its all-time high here in November. And then look at it happened again. I don't know why it's more pronounced on the chart, but this is basically exactly what happened here. And so here it is, 2021. People came in buying Bitcoin 60, 65, 68,000, thinking it was headed to 100 and more. And what happened to them? By here we are, February of 2022, it's all the way down to 40 grand, and so on and so forth, guys. And you can look at just about every crypto chart in the world and see this happen over and over and over and over. But look at this. Does that not look like kind of a pretty chart? I mean, yeah, it's got its downs, it's got its ups, it's got its downs, it's got its ups, it's got its downs. Guys, Bitcoin is going to $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, $15 million a token over the next 10, 20, 30 years. And it's basically inevitable at this point. There ain't no stopping it. That's where it's headed. So all you have to decide is, you know, how long are you going to keep your money invested? How much money do you need to, you know, have the life that you want to have? You know, something else that you have to decide is, are you going to sell your Bitcoin? You know, my wife and I were talking about it. One of the things that I love about Bitcoin is that you can collateralize it. You can borrow against it. Guess what happens? If you have $1 million in Bitcoin, say you bought 100, or even let's say you got lucky, or say you bought $50,000 worth of Bitcoin, and now it 20x's. And you have $1 million worth of Bitcoin, and you decide that you want to make a big purchase, and so you sell $500,000 worth of your Bitcoin. Guess what you just did? You just created a $450,000 taxable event. If you have $1 million in Bitcoin and you collateralize it and you borrow against it from a Coinbase or a DeFi platform, you can borrow $500,000 of your $1 million in Bitcoin, with your $1 million in Bitcoin being the collateral for the $500,000 loan, and you owe zero in taxes. You don't owe money when you borrow it. You haven't profited yet. You've just borrowed money that you theoretically have to pay back. And so there's some great ways that you can maintain your wealth along the way, because if you know that $1 million in Bitcoin in 5 years, 4 or 5 more years, is going to probably quadruple, double, triple, quadruple, you know, whatever, five tuple, whatever word that is. Like, why would you want to take your $1 million and just sell it if you can hold it and it's going to be worth 2, 3 million in the next cycle, and then another, you know, 4, 5, 6 million in the next cycle? You know, every time Bitcoin halves, it's going to continue to go up. Now, I don't think that we're going to continue to just have these 4-year cycles like we have for the last, 12 years. But within reason, every time Bitcoin halves, which is going to be in 24, in 28, in 32, there will be somewhat of it's going to trigger, an upward trend in Bitcoin. What it does with altcoins is going to, change a little bit here and there, but Bitcoin is the most solid money in the history of money. It's even better than silver and gold, in my opinion. And part of the reason for that is we don't know how much silver and gold there is going to be. They're still mining silver and gold to this day. There's enough silver and gold that it'd be very hard for them to find a big enough store of it. Be pretty crazy for somebody to come across a big enough, vault of gold inside a mountain that it affected the price. But at the same time, gold and silver are basically going to get mined for as long as Earth exists. We know that there's 21 million Bitcoin, and that is going to be it. And so that's, in my opinion, Bitcoin is a way better place to park your money than silver and gold. It's also much more liquid in a sense than silver and gold. The other thing is it's a lot easier to store. Imagine being wealthy and imagine having $1 million in gold. Could you protect $1 million in gold? Yes, you could. It wouldn't be that hard. Gold, $1 million in gold is not that much gold. I don't know exactly how many 1 ounce bars you would have, but I mean, I guess we could kind of figure it out, right? What is it at $4,000 an ounce? So 10 ounces would be 40 grand. 100 ounces would be 400 grand. So what do you need? 250 ounces at $4,000, 250 ounces. So 250 of these, 1 ounce bars, that wouldn't take up that much space. But let's say that you really start to get extremely wealthy. Now you got 10 million in gold. You start to have a little bit more trouble in being able to protect it. At $100 million, if you had $100 million in net worth and you tried to have it in silver and gold, it'd be very, very hard to keep it safe. And especially if anybody had any idea that you had that kind of money, how in the world would you protect it? You got thieves and people that'll come breaking into your house for $500. If somehow you accumulated $100 million worth of gold, how would you do that without anybody knowing about it? And how would you protect it? Where would you keep it? You can't keep it at your house because you're just begging for somebody to come in and, either rob you or come in and even do worse things to you and your family if they want to make sure that they're not going to get caught. So anyways, I don't want to get onto a morbid here, but like with decentralization, with ledgers, with hardware wallets, you could hold hundreds of millions of Bitcoin on a handful of different wallets and very, very, very much protect yourself from some of those potential possibilities of losing your assets or getting your assets stolen from you. Bitcoin ain't going anywhere. And on that note, neither are the altcoins. I shouldn't say neither are the altcoins. In my opinion, probably 10, 15 years from now, 90 to 99% of the altcoins that exist today won't, but the ones that do will have created so much wealth for the people that held them that it's going to be almost unfathomable. Back in my day, I've told the Microsoft story a bunch of times, but I grew up in Washington State. I've driven right past the main office center of Microsoft in my life a few times. But I never bought one share of Microsoft. I was 18 years old, never even thought about it. But long story short, there's people that bought Microsoft back in 1990 that by the time it had appreciated and split and done all of the things that it did between 1990 and 2000, a couple of $1,000s in Microsoft created millionaires in 10 years. And you can do that with a lot of different crypto if you're patient. You want to see one? Here's an example. XRP. I want to show you guys something here real fast because I think sometimes we have a little bit of a short-term mentality in crypto. And even myself, like I'm looking at how much money can I make in this bull run? How much money, what is XRP going to go to in the next 3 months, 6 months? And there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, guys, I want to show you what you can do, but the patience that it would take. So it's showing here, its all-time low for Ripple was 0.0026. Let's just round it up to 0.003. Let's say that you bought $1,000 worth of Ripple at 0.003. That would be 333,333.333333 Ripple. So 333,333 Ripple you could have got for $1,000. Ripple is currently $2.39. So if we multiply that times 2.39, you would have $796,000. So all you would have had to have done to basically change your life would have been to buy $1,000 worth of Ripple back in 2014 and still own it today. But the fact of the matter is, none of us bought it that early. And the other fact of the matter is that 99.9% of us would not still own that XRP today. How many of us, had we bought, somehow we were lucky enough to buy Ripple back in 2014, how many of us would still own it? The answer to that question is probably pretty darn close to zero, because most of us from 0.003, when it got to 3 cents, that would have been a 10x. Our 1,000 would have been worth 10 grand. And most people would have probably sold it. You know, when it got up to 10 cents, it would have definitely, I mean, like, you owned 1,000 of it, and now at 10 cents, it's worth whatever that is, 30, call it 33,000, right? You had 333,000 of them times 10 cents would have been 33 grand. It gets up to a quarter. At a quarter, it's 33 times 2.5, so 66, and then, you know, and then another whatever, 1776, call it 80 grand. Your $1,000 would have been worth $80,000 at a quarter. How many of you willing to raise your hand and say, hey, if I had turned 1,000 into 80, I was gone, man. I would have sold it. And so one of the things that we have to realize is that in order to create some of this immense wealth, you got to be a little bit patient. You got to be willing to hold some things for, you know, a handful of years. You got to be willing to, you know, be in this thing for 10, 15 years sometimes to make the absolute big money. Now, the good news technically was with Ripple, you could see here, it actually went up to its previous all-time high was in January of 2018. I don't know why I can't get this to pull up, but it was like $3.60 in January of 18. So you technically would have only had to wait about, 4 years? A little less than 4 years had you bought this. You know, and if you go back, you could have still bought Ripple at like 0.006 or a penny or two all the way into, you know, like, I think it was 2015 or 2016. You know, another real quick example is if you take a token like HBAR, Hedera. You could have bought this back in 2020 at 0.009 cents. So so if you take 1,000 divided by 0.00, what is it, 9861? 9861. You're looking at 101,409 tokens. Now, HBAR is only worth 16 cents right now, but with 101,000 tokens, how long do you think you have to wait before you have yourself, you know, 500,000 to $1 million worth of HBAR? I'm pretty confident that HBAR is going to run back up. Its previous all-time high was showing here at 56 cents. So at 56 cents, your $1,000 would be 56 grand. But what would you need it to be in order, you know, if you got 100,000 tokens, then you need it to be what? $10, 10 times 100,000. So you need it to be a $10 token. Do you think HBAR is going to be around and going to be a $10 token in 5-10 years? Very likely. So you could have literally bought $1,000 worth of HBAR back in 2020, and you could have held it probably until 2030, 2035, and you'd have been a millionaire for $1,000. So once again, guys, if you want to be worth millions of dollars in crypto, buy and be willing to believe in the asset that you have. Pick the assets that are going to be around in 10 or 15 years, and you will be there. Now, I understand all of us want to get there quicker than 10 or 15 years, and I'm on board with that. But I also want to show you that the longevity, you know, we were talking, somebody asked me about Texiccoin in here, and so I want to talk a little bit about that. Yesterday, there was a call with the founder, Bobby Gray, and one of the questions that came up was, what happens if some of these people that bought miners early that own, you know, several 100,000 tokens decide to just sell? Well, as Bobby explained, like, our liquidity can withstand some massive sell pressure. But he also made the comment, and it's so true, you can only get off the rocket ship once. Like, if somebody decided that their number was $4, and so they went and sold a bunch of tokens at $4, and for a short moment took the price back down to, say, $2.75, $3, they can only do that once. If they decide that they want to get back on the rocket ship, they're going to see these price jumps. And so one of the things that I think is pretty cool with Texiccoin, and you guys may or may not understand it, but I put the link to this video right here so you guys can watch it afterwards. But this video is titled something along the lines of the Texiccoin. Yeah, the Texiccoin window is closing faster than you think. But this is drawn out on a piece of notebook paper. And for those of you that can't see it, it's basically the path to 16. I've told some of you in private and that I've messaged that why I believe Texiccoin is on its way to $16. Well, guys, it's not just like a feeling. It's not like, oh, hey, I believe Texiccoin is going to $16. Guys, the crowdfunding that we are doing with the miners, every time somebody purchases a miner for $9.95, that $9.95 goes to different areas of the Texiccoin project. And one of the areas that it goes to is the liquidity and to the market makers. And so this right here is not like, it's not a hopeful, wishful thinking, this is what we hope is going to happen. This is the path to 16. And this goes all the way back here. You can see, I can't see what the date is here, what he's trying to write here, but it starts at 14 cents. And then it shows on January 20th that it's supposed to be about a 20-cent token. And then you will notice, if you do the math, guys, what is 40% of 20? Well, I get 4 cents, right? Or 8 cents, right? 40% of 20 would be 8 cents. So guess what? It jumps 40% from January to February. It jumps 40% up to 28 cents. Guess what, guys? If you take 28 cents, 0. times 40%, that's 11 cents. Guess what? 11 cents plus 28 is 39 cents, right? So it's not this, we're not talking about what if. This is the plan, and Bobby Gray has executed it every step of the way. Guess what? If you take 39, if you take 0.39 times 40%, 15.6 cents. Guess what you get if you take basically 16 cents and add it to 39? You get 55 cents in April. You seeing a pattern yet? 55 cents times 40% equals 22 cents. 22 plus 55 is 77 cents. He's got 75 written here. So he's being conservative. And then you go from 75 to 99. And then guess what? 40% of a dollar is 40 cents. 40 cents on top of 99 is $1.39. Well, guys, I jumped in August here, and the token was $2.75 in August. And then it jumped up. So it was ahead of schedule in August. Then in September, it jumped way, way, way up. We had some massive, massive buyers. We had some people come in that drove the price all the way up to $7, which was way crazy ahead of schedule. There's nothing that we can do to control that, though. It's a good thing. Like, it was amazing. But one of the things about it that wasn't amazing is that people are crazy. Like, they see this $7 token and they're excited, but then it slowly dropped back down to, I think it hit as low as 380 or 390. But the crazy thing is, guys, look, in October, it was only supposed to be $3.79. And so even when it retraced, it never went below that $3.79. And the crazy thing is, guys, you can go look for yourself. If you go to dextrade.com, I'll pull this up here real quick. Dex-trade.com. You can go look for yourself, and you can see, if you go to dextrade.com and you log in, you can literally see on the Texiccoin chart where there is a massive several $100,000 buy order at $2.79. In other words, this is Bobby Gray and Texiccoin's one of the ways that they kind of guarantee the floor. In order for this token to have gone under $2.79, there would have had to have been immense sell pressure. But the other good news, guys, is that the people that own a couple 100,000 Texiccoin believe in this plan, including me. I own about 1,500 Texiccoin at this point. You know how many I've sold? 10. Why I sold them? So that I could prove that it was possible to myself, that it had liquidity, that I could go over to DexTrade and sell my tokens if I wanted to and create that cash flow. Now I've got 1,500 of them. You think I have any desire to sell any of these 1,500 tokens at $4.43 wherever we are today? No, that would be crazy. And while I'm talking about this, let me do something real fast. I finally found it yesterday. Let's get the proper branding on this baby. Let's get the proper branding here. My son made this branding for me. I'm so proud of him, man. He's becoming a heck of a graphic designer. But my point is, guys, why would I want to sell these tokens at $4.47 when I know they're going to $16? So, like, could we get some sell pressure? Starts getting up to $12, $13, $14, $15? Certainly. So would I bet my life that we're going to 16 by February? Hey, son, have a great day. Love you, buddy. Probably not. But if there's anybody here on this channel that wants to bet me, let's say like $10,000, I'll take 10 grand, you take 10 grand. We'll put it in escrow with somebody that we trust. And if we're not above $12 by February, so that's about a 3x, I'm very confident. I bet 10 grand that we're above $12 by February of 2026, because they have stair-stepped this up every single step of the way. I told Dave last night in a private chat, watch out, Texiccoin is going to be making a jump soon. And what did it do overnight? It went up 7%. It went from about $4. You can see here, 24-hour range was $4.11 to $4.60. And I'm telling you guys that are watching this, November, $5.29. Take that for what you will. There are no guarantees. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't promise you that it's going there, but it's gone. If you go back and look at the historical price chart of Texiccoin, if you go here and look at this and you look at the 1-year chart, you'll be able to see. So if we go back here to May, look, this is no, this was way back in May. Where are we at here? So, like, June. Here we go. June of 2025, $1. June 2025, 99 cents. go here to July. Let's get up here. So July, it made its bump. It actually started going up before it was supposed to, but if we get here into July of 2025, here we are, July 6th, 2025, $1.38. July, 139. That's pretty close. And then if you go back here to this chart and you look, actually by the end of July, we're all the way up here. You know, July 14th, we're up at July 12th, we're all the way at $1.78. Let's go to August. You know, I told you guys that I jumped in around August. So here we go. August 3rd, $2.14. August, $1.95. So you go do your own research. And once again, it's not financial advice, but if you're looking for a token that doesn't care what Bitcoin is doing, I mean, look at all of the other tokens, guys. And I'm not, you don't have to buy a miner. You don't have to get involved in the mining process with me. I think that that is a great way to go. But guys, I'm just here showing you a token. Listen to me, fellas and ladies. If I came to you and told you that I had a token that I knew the founder of, and that I very, very, very much believed that that token was going to 4x over the next handful of months, I would come on here onto the Wednesday Microcap Gem live stream, and I would tell you guys all about it all day long without any reservation. So just because I'm an affiliate on the miner side doesn't mean that I can't still have huge belief and tell you about the token. Guys, seriously, Bitcoin has gotten smashed over the last, last couple of weeks. And look at what has happened to altcoins. Down 8%, down 8%, down 4%, down 6%. And as of a few days ago, we were looking at some of these tokens were down 30% or more, and they've made a slight rebound. But guess what? If we go back here to CoinGecko and we pull up Texiccoin, I want you guys to see this. TXC. Let's look at the historical data. On March 9th, $4.24, or excuse me, October 9th. October 9th, $4.24. October 10th, when everything else crashed 30%, Texiccoin went from 424 to 413. And then on the 11th, it went to 404. Then on the 12th, it went to 496. So what is that? 10% of 424 would be 42 cents. 42 minus 424 would take it all the way down into the $3.80 range. And this thing was at $3.96. And then it's already back up today to $4.43. So part of the magic with Texiccoin is that we do have this roadmap, and we do have this owner, this founder, Bobby Gray, that is committed to doing what he says he's going to do. So they're getting ready to add $5 more million. They talked about it on the miners call yesterday. They're adding $5 more million in liquidity to this token. So I just want to go on record here on October 22nd, having been the one that showed you guys this chart. What you do with it is up to you. And once again, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. I'm just a guy that has created some financial freedom in my life through crypto. I've had some big ups and some big downs. I'm not right by any means all the time. All I know is looking back at this path to 16, this token has been where it's supposed to be every step of the way. Every step of the way. And so do with that what you will. But guys, once again, I would love for some of you to join me with the miners. The thing that I was talking about is we were talking about Ripple. and how, you know, most of us, had we bought it back early, we would have already sold it. Well, guess what? With the Texiccoin miners, these things are going to mine tokens for the next 135 years. So guess what? You're not going, if you buy a miner, you're not going to have that remorse of, hey, I bought tokens at $4 and then I sold them at, you know, $16, or I sold them at $40, or I sold them at $100. Because with miners, you have tokens spitting out. Like right now, I've got 30 miners. So I don't care. Like if I sold every token that I own today, it wouldn't be the end of the world if all of a sudden Texiccoin is $100 in 6 months. He's got a path. That's the other thing. I'm not going to pull it up, but there's a document showing the path to $80, similar to this path to 16. There's a new document showing the path to 80. And then he's got another roadmap for an $800 token in 2027. It's not guaranteed. I'm not sitting here telling you that Texiccoin is for sure going to be an $800 token by 2027. But I'm sure enough about the plan and the project at this point to believe that it's going to go way higher than 16. I like the $80 number very much. I think that's very, very realistic, and so on and so forth. So the cool thing about owning a miner is if you get off the rocket ship, you sell your tokens, technically you're going to be accumulating tokens. And if it goes up to $100 and you sold your tokens at 20, if you have miners, you're going to be happy. If you don't have miners, you're going to be a little upset, because now if you want to get back in and speculate on it going from 100 to 800, you got to go in and come in and buy tokens at $800 a piece. The other thing about this, guys, that I want to share with you is, in general, and this is not a guarantee either, in general, with this price appreciation, most people that buy miners are recouping their initial $9.95 in around 100 days. So at the current price of the token, you would recoup your money back in about 300 days, 350 days, less than a year, but let's say that it took a year. So you would be recouping your money in about a year if you bought a miner today and the price never fluctuated. But guess what? That's not the case. By January, we're looking at a $10 token. So if you get in at a $4 token and it goes to 10, well, that's 2.5x. That would also decrease your time by 2.5x, whatever that would be. But let's say in general that it was going to be a 300 days to get to even. If the price triples, now it only takes 100 days. If the price triples after you get your miner and you don't sell any tokens for 90 days, theoretically speaking, if you bought a miner today, you would have $1,000 worth of value in around 90, 100, 120 days. And then that miner is going to spit off tokens for the rest of your life and the rest of your kids' life and for the rest of your, I mean, I got a granddaughter that's not even 1 year old, and I don't expect she's probably going to outlive 135 years. So not only is this going to be willable to my kids and then to my grandkids, but my great-grandchildren will probably benefit a little bit from this. Imagine if somehow Bitcoin had a system like this and we were able to buy Bitcoin miners back early in Bitcoin. And let's just say that Bitcoin was only spitting off, you know, like I won a 0.001 Bitcoin the other day on a Cardsmith's card break. Let's say that it was only spitting off 0.001 Bitcoin, this miner, but we still owned it today. You would have $100 a day coming in Bitcoin. And that's just going to go up. And that's Bitcoin at 100,000. When Bitcoin is at $1 million, you would have $1,000 a day worth of Bitcoin coming in. I don't know if Texiccoin is going to last for 135 years. I do know that Bitcoin is going to last for 130 years, or however long it takes to mine all of those tokens. But the risk versus reward, once again, if you bought $1,000 for a miner and this project does what I think it's going to do, it will turn into one of the best investments that you've ever made in your whole life. But I digress. I know that a lot of you that are watching this have already jumped in and got miners, and there's a few of you that ain't and probably aren't gonna at this point. But don't let that stop you from going and buying the token. Where do you have, what other token do you believe that you like almost, you can't use the word guarantee in anything in life, but what token out there do you guys know of another token that's got a path, that's been able to prove their path? 20 cents, 28, 39, 55, 75, 99, all the way. Now here we are in November, getting ready to come up to 529. Part of this pump is people buying ahead of time. I know that there's a lot of people that were on that call yesterday, and it was a public call, so it's not like insider information or anything. It was a public call. There's a lot of people front running it. A lot of people front running, buying tokens because they've seen this. And once again, I highly recommend check out this video. If you watch this video, but I want to make it clear that I don't like, if you go buy a token, I don't make any money. I'm not an affiliate. If you go to DexTrade and, if you go to DexTrade, what did I do? X out of DexTrade. Here we go. You go to DexTrade and sell a token. I don't make any money. So my point is, guys, if you don't like the miners, go buy some tokens. If anything that I'm saying here makes sense to you and you want to have the potential to 2, 3, 4x your money in the pretty short period of time. And once again, there's no guarantees in life, but we don't know what's going to happen with Ripple. Ripple dropped from $3 and something all the way down to under $2 on the 10th. I mean, once again, part of the reason I'm so adamant about this, guys, is because I really believe in where the Texiccoin price is going to go. So let's just take a quick look at that really fast. I want to show you the difference. XRP sitting at $2.40. Historical data. October 9th, 281, and then it's showing it dropped to 238. But I think it dropped lower than that. On most exchanges, it dropped down below $2. This isn't that good of a representation, because I know, like, if you take Solana, and we look at its historical data, I got, there's a guy right here in the chat, Mr. Dave P, that had a trade-in on Solana, so he knows better than anybody. It's showing here, it's showing here for Solana, $220, and then it's showing $189. That is not a true number. Solana went way, way, way lower than $188 on the 10th. Solana dropped by 30% plus. So 30% of 220 is 66. So I guess, it was in that ballpark. That's a massive jump. I guess that is a pretty big jump. It doesn't seem like it. Well, that's only $11. That's only a $30 jump. It dropped way more than 10-15%. I know it dropped over 30%. So this must be like it bounced back or whatever. But my point is, these altcoins can do whatever they want to do. They can get smashed down as much as they want. So Dave says, so $147 from 220 to 147. Texiccoin, as I showed you guys, from 424 to 414. And once again, guys, no matter what happens to Bitcoin or the altcoins over the next handful of months, within reason, this roadmap is going to take place. I made a Facebook post yesterday that kind of showed. So if we go to, it's funny, the guy that helped get me into Texiccoin just made this post, and he's using this document too on his Facebook. This isn't my post, but Corey Moran is the gentleman that was nice enough to share Texiccoin with me, and then he bugged me for a month and a half before I finally got it in my head and realized what I was missing. But if you want to see like my own post here, was I was miner 17,686. I can show you in my back office. I was miner number 17,686. And here we are. We just crossed over 40,000 miners. That's individuals. 40,000 human beings plus own at least one miner. And so, guys, this thing has over doubled in the last 2 months. It's been exactly 2 months since I got started in Texiccoin. And that's going to continue to happen. These 40,000 people are continuing to tell their friends and their family and their coworkers and their network about Texiccoin miners. And we've had about 150,000 miners bought. There's only 1 million miners. When we get to 1 million miners, we're done. There's no more miners. And so we're going to sell out that other 850,000 miners. And we don't care whether Bitcoin's 108,000 or 208,000 or 58,000. It doesn't matter, because we're going to get the same amount of Texiccoins every day, whether Bitcoin's $10 or Bitcoin's $10 million. And people are going to come into the system, and that $9.95 that gets paid into the system to buy the miner, part of that goes to the liquidity and the market makers to create these price jumps along the way. So in my opinion, over the next 3 or 4 months, no matter what crypto decides to do, I believe crypto is going to do amazing things. And hopefully the HBARs and the XRPs and the Cardanos and the Polkadots and all of those tokens hopefully do well. But if you're looking for a token that, in my opinion, nothing is a sure thing in life, but if you're looking for something that is pretty close, one of the reasons that I'm so excited about Texiccoin is because of this right here. It's not built on maybes. When we say $16 by February, we're not basing it on, okay, if Bitcoin goes up to $200,000 by February, Texiccoin should too. It doesn't have anything to do with Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market. As you can see here, I mean, if you go back and look at this Texiccoin chart, there's lots of dips along the way here, guys. There's a lot of dips along the way. But you don't really see any dips in this chart, right? You just kind of see a flat, and then it pops up, and then it's flat for a little bit, maybe slightly up, and then boom. And I guarantee you guys, if you measure these uptrends, they're going to be in and around the ballpark of about 40%. Then, and then it goes kind of flat here for a while. And then, and then when it gets ready, boom, it has the next step. And then it goes flat for a little while, and then boom, it has its next step. And then this was the really big step here. In August, it was August 22nd here. So it's $2.80 or so when I got in on August 22nd, and then boom, it had the really big up. Well, this is the big up. And this is the first time that Texiccoin ever had a retracement. And the only reason it had a retracement was because it went up. Look at this, guys. It was supposed to go up to about $3.80, and it went up to $7. It was almost double where it was supposed to be. I don't know what's going to happen with this new jump. There could be a bunch of liquidity. This thing could jump up way past, the 529. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. All I know is that if I had some money on the sidelines and I didn't have 30 miners making tokens for me every day, I would highly consider buying some Texiccoin if I were you. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm about ready to just shut up about this. But seriously, guys, I love the miners and I love the referral program because it's such an amazing way to help new people to crypto. I have people that own 9 miners that didn't even have a Coinbase account. Had to help them create a Coinbase account. because obviously you got to have some place to off ramp your money to. So after you go to, Dex Trade and you sell your miners, or you sell your tokens, well, you got to be able to take that USDT, USDC and get it out to a bank account. So, most of my business is built here in the United States, although we do have Paul Nalder out in the United Kingdom, and it is growing outside of the United States. But I have people that are so underversed in crypto that they needed help getting Coinbase rolling. So guys, it's a perfect way to tell your friends and family about a dividend producing stock. That's language that more people understand. I just say, hey, have you ever heard of Texiccoin miners? It's like owning a dividend producing stock, and go from there. But if you still are just like totally dead set against the miners, go to, I'm not sure if this is updated or not. Let's see if it's updated. It's not updated. That's frustrating. We're now liquid on 8 exchanges, including Mexi Global. You can get an account here on Dex Trade. If you're a United States citizen, you can get an account here on Dex Trade. No KYC necessary, no VPN necessary. And I forget, Biconomy and BitKet. And they're adding like 5 more. So right now we're liquid on 8 exchanges, soon to be 13. So these tokens that I own, I literally can send them over to Dex Trade and sell them in a matter of minutes, transfer the USDC over to my Coinbase and out to my bank account. So right now I've got, call it about $6,000 worth of Texiccoin. If I wanted to have it in my bank account, I probably have to pay, you got to pay Coinbase some fees if you want it instant. But I literally, if I wanted that $6,000 in my bank account, I could take my tokens, send them off of my my Texiccoin mobile wallet that I've got here, right here on my phone, take it from my Texiccoin wallet, send it to Dex Trade, sell the tokens, transfer the money over to my Coinbase, and have it into my bank account in, a matter of minutes. So that's another cool thing about this program. I've been parts of other programs where they promise you, hey, you buy this miner, you buy this node, and we're going to go live in 6 months or a year, and you're going to accumulate all these tokens for the next 6 months, 12 months. And then when it goes live, man, you're going to have all this money. And then guess what happens? It never goes live. It never gets launched. Something happens, difficulty after difficulty after difficulty, and it never happens. The other cool thing that I didn't show, one of my last Facebook posts here too, I love this car. I was telling you guys I can't help myself. I'm in a drawing where I'm going to be able to potentially win a car like this. Man, look at that BMW convertible. How fun would it be to be driving around in that baby, man? I can't wait for this drawing. I don't know if I'm going to win, but I'm certainly excited to have a potential. And then I've already got it figured out. I'm going to be getting my car wrapped in a very similar wrap like this. It creates an incredible tax write-off. All of my car payments become a tax write-off. My insurance becomes a tax write-off. And there's no doubt in my mind that it's going to bring more business to me. It's going to create conversations, and that it's going to help me, create more business too. But right here, so this is like Texiccoin is now $100 million project, $100 million. So I think at this point, in my opinion, we've proved that it works. It's been liquid for months and months and months. You've been able to sell the token for months and months and months on exchanges. Everything is above board, transparent. And so, man, if this was a Microcap Gem live stream, I don't think any of you on here would be mad at me for talking about a token the way that I've talked about Texiccoin. There might be a few of you on here that are sick of hearing about Texiccoin and the miners, but I wanted to switch it up, and I just wanted to show you, because I have a gentleman yesterday that bought 9 miners. So he got 2 free. He's got 11 miners. And I was telling him yesterday, hey, if you want to buy your wife 9 miners, you'll get 2 free. She'll get 2 free. You get 13 miners right now for another $9,000 basically. And he said, well, why? He's like, why don't I just go buy $9,000 worth of the tokens? And I said, that is an absolutely fantastic idea. In fact, I think you should do both. And most people that own miners do both. Like, we don't just mine. I haven't bought a lot of tokens myself because I've got, cash flow headed in different directions. I'm getting ready to go to Colorado and do this IVF treatment, and I've got a lot of stuff going on. But I know a lot of people. One of my buddies owns miners, and he also owns $20,000 worth of Texiccoin. I was like, hey, man, how come you're not buying more miners? He's only got 3. Like, how come you're not buying more miners? And he's like, don't get me wrong, Brad. Like, I love the miners, but I also want to participate in this price appreciation. He's like, I own $20,000 worth of Texiccoin. And then one of the things that he told me is, like, as Texiccoin doubles, he's going to take some of that profit and buy the other 6 miners that he can get the 2 free. But rather than spend the whole $9,000 out of his pocket, he decided to invest a big chunk into Texiccoins. And then when they appreciate, he'll sell them, take some of the profits, and then buy miners, because he loves the idea of the long-term passive income. The coins just drip into his wallet every day. But I'm telling you, you could tackle this project from a lot of different ways. And so for, the Eric Bernsteins and the Dave P's and some of the people out there that really don't like the idea of the miners, I think that this is an opportunity for you guys to add some incredible tokens, to your portfolio. And for everybody else watching, the same thing. But I know Dave P and Eric Bernstein are 2 people that I've talked to extensively about the miners, and thus far have not been able to get them interested in the miners. But I think you guys would be very, very excited to own some of these tokens and have them be a part of your portfolio. And they're going to do big things for you. They're going to do very, very well, over the next handful of months. I want to get to this question. I don't know if you're still here. Anxious Trader. Thank you so much for being here on the live stream today. I'm not sure if this is your first time, but obviously you know a little bit about Texiccoin. And so that is a great question. And I do have plans. Bobby's been extremely busy. I've been extremely busy, but we do have plans to have Bobby Gray, the founder of Texiccoin, on the channel very, very soon. I'm hoping sometime in the upcoming weeks. A week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. I don't know for sure, but hopefully soon we will have Bobby Gray on a live stream here where you guys can ask questions, pick it apart. I love it. I want you guys to come in here and say, well, what about this? And what are you going to do if this happens? And what are you going to do if that happens? What are you going to do if this happens? Because Bobby answers those questions on a weekly basis. And so there's no question that you can throw at him that he probably hasn't heard before, but I would still love for you guys to be on that live stream and be able to pick this thing apart. Ask the tough questions. I have to assume that some of you that haven't jumped in yet, there's got to be something about the project that doesn't quite line up with what you think a project should look like or something. Anyways, when I have Bobby on the channel, it'll be an opportunity for you guys to ask your questions and get maybe some of the things that are holding you back, some of the things that are causing you to have fear about, investing your hard-earned money into this project. Maybe Bobby will be able to answer those questions and help you to, get on board. Critical. Bitcoin is better in almost every way. I absolutely agree with you. To me, it's basically a fact at this point. It'd be very, very hard for somebody to ever convince me that silver and gold is better than Bitcoin. So with that, guys, I'll quit talking about Texiccoin till the next time I do a live stream. But once again, go take a look at this video. It'll explain this path to 16 a little bit more, but this is basically what we're looking at here. So if you like the idea, like even swing trade, I'm looking at maybe, I get a pretty nice chunk of USDC tomorrow. So if the price hasn't appreciated too much, I was thinking about hopping in and maybe even just doing a quick swing trade, looking to make, 20, 30%. you know, from 379 to 529 is 40%, but we're sitting at 443. So now we've only got about an 80-cent jump. So what is that? About 20%. But it's still, you know, 20% would be a nice little swing trade. So if we're looking at it now, if I get this money tomorrow and I have the ability, you know, what I was thinking I could potentially do would be like throw $1,000 at Texiccoin. And let's say whatever, let's say that it's, you know, for round math, let's say that it was $4.50 when I bought it. That would get me what, 200 times 450 would be $900. And then 250 goes into 100, what, 40 times? So I would get, or no, not 40 times, 450 times 10 would be 45, times 20 would be 90. So 24 tokens, 25 tokens, 24 tokens, 24 more tokens. Anyway, so 224 tokens, say, for $1,000 if it's 450. When it goes up to 529, how many tokens do I got to sell at 529 if I've got 224? So we take, let's take $1,000 divided by 5.29 is 189, and we started with 224. So if I bought 224 tokens at 450 and I sold 189 of those tokens at 529, I would have a 34 token bag of tokens with zero risk. And then let's say that you get out towards the end of November and you want to do it again. So now you come back in and you buy $1,000 worth of tokens divided by 529. Let's go a little bit higher than that. Let's say that it's a little bit higher. Let's say that you buy them at 575. So you buy 1,000 tokens at 575. That gets you 1,000 divided by 5.75 is 173 tokens. 173 tokens. But let's do the math. You still got your first 34 tokens. Now you bought another 173. Now it goes to $7. I think, is that a 45? Let me hit play for a split second. There we go. Yeah, I think that looks like a 45. So let's do that. So we go 1,000 divided by 7.45. That's 134 tokens. What did I say we were going to get? 173 or 178? Let's just call it even 170. That'd be another 36 tokens. 36 and 34, you got 80 tokens for free. And then you could do that all the way to 16 if you want to. So once again, there's a lot of different ways to play this. Some of you might want to just buy $1,000 and hold it till February. Some of you might want to swing trade it a little bit. There's some great opportunities for that. So once again, you guys do what's right for you, for your risk tolerance, your timing, and what makes the most sense for you. And now I want to switch gears and I want to go back to Minotaur real quick. And so guys, one of the things that I have been doing here over the last few months is I have been mining. I've had the Minotaur trading bot. Where is there's the account, but what happened to my tab? Did I accidentally X out of my Minotaur tab? I'm going to get rid of these tabs. We're done talking about Texiccoin. Where in the world did it go? Let me go back over here to YouTube and pull this up here real fast. So for you guys that are looking for automate your wealth, if you go to the description of this video right here, Minotaur Trading Bots, book your information call now. If you click on this link, I want to show you something else that I'm super, super excited about. For those of you that like the idea of hooking up a trading bot to your account, they don't have access to your funds. You're basically just connecting the API keys. So you're giving the trading bot the ability to place trades, but they don't have the ability to withdraw your tokens or do any of that. Your funds are still safe. I am loving the Minotaur trading bots. So this is part of the website. And I want to pick out a person here, Sam Price, Crypto Lifer. This trading bot is a game changer. It takes positions similar to mine with unmatched precision. The way it manages risk and adjusts positions is beyond impressive. This system is next level. The most accurate trading bot I've ever seen. It trades just like I do. The way it mitigates positions blows my mind. This trading system is no joke, and I want to keep it all to myself. So he's been using this, I believe, for over a year now with just incredible results. Like super exciting results. In fact, Sam, if I'm not mistaken, has over a Bitcoin that he is letting this trading bot trade. So this bot is trading over $100,000 worth of Bitcoin on his behalf. Now, obviously, it doesn't have the whole $100,000 tied up in trades, but it has a percentage of that. And one of the things that I think is really cool about Minotaur, guys, if we go here to detail, we can kind of see some of the last things that it has done. And so it keeps buying. You can see as it goes down, it's actually good for the market. So you can see here, it bought. So it sold here, then it bought, then it sold, then it bought. But anyways, if you go back, like it keeps buying as Bitcoin goes down. If Bitcoin continues to run from 108 down to 90, it's just going to continue to buy more and more and more because it's set on a schedule that even if Bitcoin runs all the way down to like 40 or 50,000, the trading account is not going to run out of money. The trading account is going to be able to still continue to buy Bitcoin at these lower levels. And then when Bitcoin goes up, here, when you watch Bitcoin run up, the next time it runs up to 120, 125, 130 or so, we're going to come back and you'll see sell. And so I love the idea of making money while I sleep. That's one of the reasons that I got into the Minotaur trading bots. It's also one of the things I love about the Texiccoin miners. I like to create income that I don't have to be actively doing anything for. And so both of these fit into that level. Now, if you go to the link here in my description and you book a call, you're going to get a half an hour to a 1 hour consultation, all of your questions answered. And you may or may not be interested in the system by the end of this call, but I highly recommend clicking this link. And then when you get here to this page, click this book a call. It's pretty simple and nothing too fantastic here. They just ask you for, a little bit of time. You're going to have a calendar here that pops up. You're going to click on the calendar, give them your name and your email address, pick a time, and boom, you're going to get a free consultation so that you can get all of your questions answered. Because the fact of the matter is, I'm still not an expert on why it works, on how it works. I just know that it works. When you got guys like Sam Price, who is one of the best traders in the world, and he's got over $100,000 that he's put into this trading bot, and he's saying these types of things about it, I kind of take a little bit of it on faith. I just got it, and I got it hooked up, and I'm just letting it run. The other cool thing about this is during bear markets, this bot does very, very well, because as we drop down 20, 30%, it's making buys all the way down, dollar cost averaging all the way down. And then even, guys, we go back to this chart here. We go back to Bitcoin. if we look at the last year, it's not like it's just been nothing but up or nothing but down. So this thing would have done very, very well here. October of 2024, we had this massive run up to, new all-time highs here in December of 2024. And then we had this downswing. Well, this would have been buying during this downswing. And then it would have been selling during this upswing, and then it would have been buying during this downswing, and then it would have been up, selling during this upswing, and so on and so forth. So there's so many opportunities. But if we go out to the max chart here and you look, even so, it's a little harder to see. It's not as pronounced, but like even here where it dropped from 60 all the way down here to around 40, it then jumped back up here. This is such a bad chart, but it jumped back up to like 45, 50. And then all of these little, like here, it went all the way down 16 grand, but then it popped back up here to 29,000. It would have been making profits all the way in over here where it's, it's at 71,000, and then it dropped all the way down here to 62,000, and then it went up to 100,000. All of those times, all of those peaks and valleys, the Minotaur trading system would have been making us money. I wish I would have gotten involved with it quicker, but I highly recommend you guys taking a peek and booking a call. And I don't know if you were there, but when we actually interviewed Costas, the founder of the Minotaur trading bots. We did an interview here just a few weeks ago. So if you want to go back, this was about a 45 minute video. If you want to go back and look at this video, it'll give you a lot more information. But guys, if you have any interest at all, please book a call. They obviously like me and they're excited for this partnership, but they're also like, okay, man, we're not seeing as many booked calls as we are with some of the other influencers that we have talked to. Now, full transparency, if you go book a call and you do buy the trading system, I do get an affiliate system. So this is an affiliate link. I do get an affiliate commission. But once again, that's not my main reason for doing this, because I love the idea of creating passive income streams. I love the idea of making money during the bear market whenever that happens. And I also love the idea of letting this run until the next bull market. My goal is the money that I've put into this trading account is to just leave it there and let the Minotaur trading bot do its thing for the next 4 or 5 years and see how many multiples it has multiplied my Bitcoin to. Now, when they talk about monthly returns, they're pretty conservative. They don't want to do anything that would, be called, fraudulent or, untrue, speculative. So they've been able to prove over a long period of time now that the trading bot is pretty good at creating an average of around 3% a month. Some months are going to be higher, some months are going to be lower. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than a month. So when we're in a downturn like right now where it's buy, technically the bot looks like it's in a drawdown, but then next month when it goes back up, so it might lose 3% this month, but it makes 10% next month, and so on and so forth. But overall, they're pretty confident in around 3 to 5% a month. So at 3% a month, that's 36% a year on this trading account. I know that a lot of you that diversify into stocks and mutual funds and 401ks and stuff like that, you would be thrilled if you invested, 10 grand and it turned into, and it went up 30% and you turned it into $13,000 in your stock portfolio. And so this is a way to do that. And the other good news is you can compound this strategy as your account grows. let's say you put 10,000 in the account. When it turns into 13,000, well, you can then slowly, the average size trade that it makes is going to slowly grow as the balance in your account grows. And so now when we talked about that, before, the compounding, if you've got something where if you got a $10,000 bill into something and it's going to go up 30%. So the first year it goes from 10,000 to 13,000, but the second year, 30% of 13,000 is the same 3,000, but now you make an extra 900. So you make 3,900 the second year. And then you're making 30% of 3,900 the second year. So that's another 1,200. So you make 4,200 or so the third year. Well, that's one of the cool things about having a strategy like this that you can put in play and that you can let run. The other great thing about it, guys, is it does have liquidity. So you can literally, I can go here and hit stop bot at any time I want and withdraw the money from my account. So it's not like it's locked in here and you got to keep the funds in here forever. If something comes up and you decide that you got to withdraw some money, whether it's half of your account or 100% of your account, none of your money is locked. It's in the exchange. It's your money. You can withdraw it at any time. So both of these are great plays, in my opinion, on our path to creating financial freedom. So I would love it if a couple of you would book a call and get to know these guys a little bit better, even if you know that you're not in a position to employ a bot right now. Go book the call, get to know these guys, learn a little bit more about it, get your questions answered, because if you're not in a position to own the trading system now, at least once you get all your questions answered and you own and you have all of the details, now you can make a date. So like Tim G, I haven't seen him on today's live stream, but Tim G told me, a couple months ago, hey, I want to get involved in Texiccoin. He was one of the guys fairly quickly that saw the vision and wanted a miner, but he just didn't want to put out $1,000 right then. So, he saved it up, a couple hundred, $200 here, $250 there. And the next thing you know, we just got, Tim just got his first miner on a Saturday. But the reason he was able to accumulate that $1,000 was partially because he had the goal. He knew he wanted a miner. He'd already made up his mind that he wanted one. So it's kind of the same thing here with the Minotaur trading bot. If you don't feel like you're in a position to take advantage of it yet, don't just dismiss it. Say, how can I be in a position? Get on the phone call, learn everything about it, and then that gives you an opportunity to save up some funds and potentially get it in the future. What do we got going on here? It's time for the giveaway. It takes a long video on live stream. Yeah, there is no giveaway today, guys. I never announced a giveaway, and so we're not going to be doing a giveaway today, but I am going to get you guys out of here. I talked for way longer than I planned on. Nice English there. Planned it on. A lot longer than I planned on, and I appreciate you guys that stuck with me all the way to the end, and hopefully you got some value out of today. Hopefully you're glad that you were on here. I appreciate each and every one of you. For the three of you that won the $50 in USDC on the Cardsmiths live stream, I guarantee you I will get that out to you today. I've got a bunch of USDC hitting my account, and I will get that dispersed out to you guys. I appreciate your patience. And with that, guys, I'm going to roll up my sleeves, and I'm going to get to work. I am going to be working extremely hard the rest of this week. For those of you that were here on Monday, you saw that incredible, Texiccoin family tree, whatever you want to call it. And right now I'm working with dozens of people to help them grow their Texiccoin bonus, to help them get their 2 miners free, to help them get their first $1,000 back in their pocket. And so that's what I'm going to be doing the rest of the day, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, until we have a cutoff. Every week there's a cutoff at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Saturday. So that's what I'm going to be doing. If any of you, after hearing more about Texiccoin today, do have any interest in the miner side of things, get in touch with me. If you're excited about the just buying some Texiccoins, get the heck out of here. Go buy some Texiccoins. Come back and let me know how that worked out for you in a month or so. I think you're going to be very, very happy. I look forward to hopefully a few of you guys saying, yeah, man, I made some money. One last thing, like if you are one of those people where the $9.95 for the miner is a little bit, you know, you're frustrated that maybe that's not where you want to allocate funds, go buy $250 for the Texiccoin, and when it turns into $1,000, get yourself a miner. There's lots of different ways you can play this game. With that, guys, God bless you all. I love each and every one of you, and I appreciate all of you for being here today. And we will see you again on Monday. I don't believe we got anything happening video-wise before now and Monday, but if anything changes, we'll keep you notified. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that if we do schedule another live stream about something this week, you can be a part of it. With that, have a fantastic day. Take care. Bye-bye for now.